Happy Thirsty Thursday, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Dangle Batselli presented by PointsBet Canada right here live on our FTN Network YouTube page. Also, Game Plus Network listening on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate you. And if you are listening on iTunes and Spotify, why don't you hop on over to Game Plus Network or FTN Network YouTube page to see the crew that we have here today at the Eric Young, as per usual, bringing in our very own Abby Labar as well. A three-person crew here for Dangle Batselli to recap last night's action in the NHL. Round one in the books, round two happening this evening. No trades. First time since, I think, 2007. No trades in the first round. That was a little bit of a surprise, but we're here for you guys. See some people hanging out. We do want to say what up to the crew here, but if you are watching live, do us a solid, smash that like button. If you have any questions at any moment, leave them in the comment section. Reach out on the Twitter machine. Watch the replay of the show in the comment section. We're always circling back. I'll start with you, Eric. Happy Thursday. Draft in Nashville last night. It's been a great couple of days, I think, in the city. Nashville always puts on a show, and I loved it last night. They were talking David Poile. You know, Batman does a great job. Everyone wants to boo him, but he jumps up with Poile at the start, and you can only boo so much when you got the guy who's brought a lot of great nights to Nashville over the years.
Yeah, I mean, he's not concerned. And I mean, the ironic part of all these people booing him is he's the one that's expanded the league more than anybody. I don't know if I would say he's my favorite person, but there's probably not hockey in Nashville without Gary Bettman. So,
Abby, that's what I was thinking last night too. Why are there all these people booing Gary Bettman? He brought hockey to the Music City, and it's worked out beautifully.
It's just a thing with commissioners. Like, we see it everywhere. I think Adam Silver might be the only one that like doesn't get booed, I feel like. But it's just, I feel like people just love to do it. It's drama. Speaking of drama.
Basketball's fake.
There we go. I got Eric going early.
Right away. Yeah.
I woke up yesterday morning and I thought I was being really creative with my corny self on Twitter. And I typed like, happy NHL drama day. And lo and behold, we didn't get any drama. Like, what? Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, why didn't, like, no trades, like no massive trades? Like, I don't know why.
I was really surprised. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, me and Chris talked about this a bit, saying like we didn't think with the free agent pool there would be done. I thought there would be even more trades before the draft started, and I expected there to be a bunch of movement, but there was none. It's wild that there was absolutely none. I don't know what you said, Chris, like the last time that's happened, but I can't remember when the last time.
And I feel like teams are holding their cards really, I mean, they normally do, but I feel like cards are being held really tight this year. I don't know if people have figured out like how to dodge the social media like leaks and stuff, but I feel like I haven't been able to figure out anything.
It gets harder and harder to be secretive, and like the Flyers, the rumor of the Flyers having Michkov at their facility and like closing down the facility, and just it's wild. It's like a spy movie.
I wonder how many teams he told up in the near the top of the draft. That,
all of them.
I'm a little uncertain about coming over to North America to play hockey. Maybe you should pass on me. He wants to go to Philadelphia. He said after, there was I forget the reporter that interviewed him after, talked about the team is rebuilding. They're going through something clearly. And he's like, good. When I get there, we'll start winning.
I love that comment. Yeah, Flyers fans are about to run through a brick wall for that one. I feel like that solidified it, right? Like that solidifies like, okay, this is more like he's coming than he's not.
Yeah. 2007, according to Frank Cervalli. Like that's what he said. No trades in the first round. That's crazy. Last year we saw a lot of madness, especially early. The Canadians passing on Shane Wright and all of a sudden making a trade. They had another early pick and they flipped for Kirby Dach. So they made some moves and there were just a lot of trades. There have been a lot of trades in the NHL over the past, few days, a couple that have happened recently that we'll get into here on this show. But do you want to say what up to everybody here in the house? There's a lot of people. Of course, our guy Troy was here early. He's already, making future bets on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Nobody wants to go to the Blue Jackets. That narrative is dead.
You're right,
Troy. Back-to-back years, the Blue Jackets signed top free agents, and Fantilli is on the video saying he wanted to go to Columbus before the draft. I actually did hear him say that he wanted to go to other spots as well before the draft. These players say those things just in case, but a guy that played in Michigan, not far from Ohio, I did hear him say that he's been to a few Blue Jackets games and he had some time. That was definitely the biggest surprise, I think, off the hop, right, Abby? Like myself included, Eric and I have talked about it. For me personally, I think Adam Fantilli should have been the second pick off the board. It's way too early to talk about it. This is not a shot at Leo Carlsson, but Fantilli, Abby, I just thought it was lock and loaded. And according to draft odds, or just Vegas in general, just minutes before the draft, Fantilli was minus 1,000 to be the second overall pick. He moved from like minus 400 to minus 1,000. So I think we're putting some money on that. Which
right? No, yeah, some people cashed in there. Look, Fantilli, I like him. What I like the most about him is the intangibles, right? Like I love that he was wearing that suit that was custom made with all the support. When you have a guy like that, you know, he plays for the University of Michigan and he comes into a club with like that confidence and that edge and that support system. Like, first of all, you already know he's going to be a great locker room guy. Like all the people that spoke so highly about him. And then he knows he's like got to live up to the expectation, right? So he seems like a competitive player with this edge. And I think he's perfect for Columbus. And Troy, I literally thought of you immediately when I saw him go off the board for the Jackets. I was like, I can't wait to talk about this with Troy tomorrow. He's going to be so fired up. So yeah, good for Columbus. I mean, that's going to be a good franchise player for them for sure.
Oh, for sure. He's a rare power forward who, you know, won the Hobey Baker Award, set all kinds of records last year as a freshman. You know, led all college players in goals with 30 and points in 65, 30 games. Third freshman in NCAA history to win the Hobey Baker Award as the best player in college hockey. But you and I, Eric, were chatting as well, and we did talk about Troy. We said, wow, Troy, he's been talking Leo Carlsson for weeks and weeks and weeks. You may have even ordered a Leo Carlsson jersey. I think I saw somebody with an Adam Fantilli Ducks jersey last night in the draft, which is mind-blowing as well. Pretty big shocker off the top of the draft, EY. But both good players. I don't want to take anything away from Carlsson.
No, I mean, there is nothing wrong with Leo Carlsson. Just I believe that Fantilli will be a better player. Offensively will be a better player. I don't think it would be a stretch for him to play on the team. And like the reality is he was a freshman last year. He's a child.
He's ready.
I mean, he's a man child. He's a big dude, can really skate. The offensive intangibles, I think, is what I like the best about him from everything that I've read. I've said this on the show. This is not my area of expertise. I lean on people like Corey Pron and people like that to tell me who these players are because I don't follow it all. I've only got so much bandwidth. And I've already made the switch over to football. So I just don't follow the draft. It's in my backyard and I could have gone for free. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll just stay out here where it's safe.
Eric, were you a man child? I feel like you were a man child.
I was a very little person. I was the guy that in grade school that held the age and class name tag in the very front, sitting on the floor cross-legged. So
I need a photo of that.
We got something to show you guys in a little bit about Eric and how strong of a guy he is. But yeah, you're a true hockey psycho. You said on Abby always says, I mean, he watches every game. He watches. This guy goes on a camping trip and he's got his TV set up in the middle of nowhere and he's watching Arizona and Anaheim on a Wednesday evening.
That says a lot.
Super competitive.
True hockey psycho.
It doesn't have time to watch these games overseas. But yeah, I think Leo Carlsson, you know, he's a smart player. I think he's maybe got a little bit more of a higher hockey IQ, I suppose, than Fantilli. But Fantilli is just, I think he's ready to go. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him play year one, Eric. You know,
Chicago would have taken him first if Connor Bedard didn't exist. I believe that without a doubt in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's that competitive nature. I feel like because like talent gets you so far, right? And then if you have that extra competitive edge, like, and you're working hard, you're gonna get your minutes, and that's gonna show off eventually. So
yeah, couldn't agree more. They're all talented. If they're in the NHL, they're all like there's
obviously
micro levels of ability separating these players. What separates them is want, right? It's just that's the end.
Our guy, Adam Szymanski in the house, Danny B for president. A lot of things happening in Philadelphia, but Michkov fell to the Flyers there with their pick at 7. Danny B, great pick. Coyotes, great picks too. Troy, apparently Columbus is trading their second rounder today. A couple eye emojis. We'll keep an eye on that. Means going to be honest, don't like the Ganians pick. Stop it. Szymanski in here. Hextall did a great job when he first started in Philly, but I'm optimistic Briere has a strong plan and will stick to it. Some light at the end of the tunnel for Flyers fans. I do believe with that as well.
Briere's been killing it.
I don't know who wrote that. As we win the cup this year. I don't know who would have said that. Brzis 91, Bedard, go Hawks. Woo. Yeah. Justin's here for Abby. We all are, and we're happy.
Hey, Justin.
FTN Network. We love it. Welcome in, Justin. Appreciate you. Samuel Wallace, what are your surprises in the first round last night. I think that one, off the top for me was a big surprise. We'll get into the Canadians in a little bit. I think that's where a lot of people thought the draft would start and go bonkers after that. The Habs take a defenseman. Arizona follows it up with a defenseman as well. Justin Perreault dropping to the Rangers. Absolutely. That was one of the big surprises for me as well.
Yeah.
I had him mocked as a top 12 pick. And he falls a little bit there. He's taking shots at the Leafs. No surprise. Still stink. Okay. We got Daily Handle in the house. Good morning, Means, EY, Abby, and everybody. And then we also have EY. You killed your boy, Steve Dangle.
His idea.
His idea. What's wrong with him? Why was that his idea?
Well, he's a content creator. They put it up, and I'm old and I don't have TikTok and probably never will. He said their producer said within an hour they had, I think, 167,000 views on it. So yeah, that's why he did it.
Over 1 million views on this. Yeah, shout out to the producer, Drew Livingstone, who we've had on this show as well, a former colleague of mine. We used to work with him, Eric, at Anthem Sports Entertainment.
He was just out east golfing with you.
He was. I know. And we chatted about potentially hooking up in Nashville. I wasn't able to do it, but he did. He said he had a fantastic time at your place. And this, let's roll it. George, you're in the house behind. Can we roll this chop? Can we get to this?
Hi, I'm Steve Dangle, and this is Talk Shit to a Wrestler named Eric Young and tell him to chop you as hard as he fucking can.
Okay, so you gotta square up.
I gotta square up. Right.
Right?
I'm ready.
Oh
my fucking God, bro.
That's why I don't let anyone do that.
Wow!
Oh my God, you have a handprint.
Is that as hard as you would do it, like, at a match?
Yeah.
Why?
I told you why. The handprint. Oh my God.
Wow.
It's the worst.
Why is it that like people getting hurt or like physical pain always goes viral? Like what?
Abby, boys are silly. They get together, have a few pops, and then they want to do things like this.
He asked me to do it through text before he had even had a drink. He was like, it's part of his Nashville experience, he said. So it was fun.
I loved it. And you could hear Drew there too in the background, like, oh,
Dying.
The handprint. Look at that
I
handprint.
know.
Oh my goodness.
You can see it.
I think my favorite part of the entire video is when he asks you, is this how hard you do it in real life?
That was good.
You're like, yeah. He's like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
You have.
You always hear people talk about, it being fake, but there was nothing fake about that at all, Eli. That was
no, fake's the wrong word. Magic's fake. Now musicians are mad at me, or magicians are mad at me, but yeah, it's what you're seeing is happening. And I had a television show. I can tell you, other than sports, pro wrestling is the realest thing on TV, and that's not a joke. I'm not making that up. All those stupid reality shows that people clamber over, it's nonsense. It's scripted. And they're telling them what to say, and they're retaking and reshooting things. Wrestling is happening 90% of the time. It's happening live, so the things that you see are happening in real time. It's other than sports, and because I'm a wrestler, I can question the validity of actual sports and say that it's rigged too. It's my job as a pro wrestler to say that, but wrestling is the realest thing on TV.
So that was what EOI did last night, and was that not last night in Nashville?
The night before.
The night before.
So no Tootsies, just physically.
No Tootsies for us. I had a good squad out here. Sarah Sivian, your buddy, was out here. I invited a bunch of people from the Athletic, but they had a meeting. Jeff Merrick and Friedman were supposed to come out. They had to go shoot a podcast. But I had Wyshynski and Lambert, Pete Blackburn, all the guys from SPPN. Sarah Sivian, yeah, we had a good squad out here. It went late into the evening. No Tootsies, but the beers were free for them. The beers were on me.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Yes, and room to move around.
Yeah.
True.
Do you do jiu-jitsu, or have you ever trained?
I've done it twice, and out of fear of people hurting me, I stopped doing it because I I can't get hurt doing something on the side and show up to work and be like, oh yeah, I can't do my job. So I loved it. My first time I choked a guy out, and my second time I got manhandled by a 65-year-old man.
It's always
he choked me with my own jacket. It was very embarrassing, but was really cool. It's amazing.
How about this? How about Troy? This guy's fishing while listening to us. Just caught a flounder, not a keeper, but the lines are tight right now. DBC on the water today. I mean, my goodness, Troy is fantastic. Let's get into the draft. This is a look of it in case you missed it. No surprise, right? With Bedard up at the top here. Exceptional status, just the fourth player. Tavares in 2009, Ekblad in 2014, McDavid, of course, in 2015. Bedard set all kinds of records as an underager, a player that he grew up watching his idol, Sidney Crosby, a shout out to the East Coaster from Scotia. And it just so happens that Connor Bedard's first game in the NHL will be in Pittsburgh against Sid the Kid. Leo Carlsson, which we mentioned there, second overall to the Ducks, I think, Anaheim. I don't know. I think they may have messed up. Fantilli falls to the Blue Jackets at 3. William Smith. I think this is Will Smith. Is this your guy, Abby? Wait, we got. Oh, let's go.
I mean, I love that we played this. This might have won the draft. I'm going to pick that as my winner of the draft solely because they played this.
You can't help it.
No, you can't help but move just a little bit when you hear it. But
Emily Claplin is the real MVP for getting him to rap during their interview.
Yes,
the best.
Yes. Yeah, shout out to Emily and Megan, who did fantastic jobs last night on the ESPN crew. Both girls were fantastic last night. Awesome. Will Smith there is honestly what I was hoping for the Canadians. 191 points, for over his time at the U.S. National Team Development Program, the second most behind Hughes, who we all know is a superstar. 228 points for Hughes, ahead of guys like Keller and Kessel and Caulfield. So good pedigree there, good company. And then the draft happened, which we started. Troy said he didn't like the Canadians pick at 5. David Reinbacher, easy for me to say, not so much for Carey Price. But listen, jokes aside, it is very tough to say hockey names. You can easily forget them.
Hard.
I mess it up all the time. I always butcher names and forget about them. I really felt for Price. David, oh no, faced red. What the heck? Who's going to help me? Turn around.
Matter how
Nobody
many times you say it, like you can say it out loud multiple times, and then like the lights and the camera turn on. And it's like, wait, hold on. And
Abby, you said you had some.
The pronunciation guides are like not even right, or like they'll tell you it's different. I mean, like we'll go like seasons pronouncing a guy's name, and then like one day in the locker room they'll be like, actually, never mind, it's been this the whole time, and you guys have been getting it wrong.
Dananov, Dadnov.
When they don't correct anyone, they just let them say their name wrong for 5 years.
Sometimes it's always the ones that you think are like the easiest, and they're actually the hardest. Like Waugh. Like Roy. Waugh.
Oh, yeah, Roy Raw. Like number pick 20 here. Eduardo Sally. It's not even Sale. It's not like Chris Sale. It's like Solly or it's like, these names, they trip you up. It's a new generation. Everybody wants to, have these creative first names as well. So it's Carey Price. You did okay, man. It's all right. I think you picked the wrong player, but you did okay. Abby, you had some thoughts. I
did have some thoughts. I was going to play devil's advocate on behalf of you as a Habs fan and Habs fans everywhere. He was compared to, I think The Athletic compared him to Brett Pesce. I am a big Brett Pesce fan. I mean, just like I think he was always, even still, I think he's kind of considered underrated. I think he's gotten a lot more of the spotlight lately with the Hurricanes having played so well. But just like a true, shut down all around, good defenseman. And I feel like a lot of those are hard to come by these days with all the skill and everyone's looking for the flashy forwards, but just a solid all around defenseman that is, teams need that. One of the reasons the Hurricanes have been so good is because of Brett Pesce. And I know it's obviously a big deal right now. I think they're still trying to get him signed. But, if you land a guy that's being compared to that to Brett Pesce and a defenseman, I think it could be good for the Habs. You're looking for the flashy guys, but sometimes those are the players that you need.
Troy, yes, you're right. Shalu. It's Shalu, pronounced, checks. That's it. It looks like sail, come sail away. It's not the case. EY. What's the most important position in your mind in the NHL? Center?
Well, I mean, it's goaltending, but drafting goalies is impossible, right?
I get it. So
how many times
after
have we said it? They're children. They can't go to Applebee's and buy a beer. Like I could be their father and it wouldn't even be weird. That's the crazy part about the whole thing. It is goaltending, but I mean, look at the top of the list. It's the center position because the center plays the entire surface of the ice.
And after that, right shot defenseman?
100%. What is it about? Why is there no right shot defenseman available? I should have stayed with hockey. I played defense and I'm right-handed.
Because everyone thinks it's cool to be left-handed now.
Maybe that's what it is.
I think so.
But to your point, everybody wants one. They're not available. They're hard to come by. When you get one, you keep one. It was the safe pick last night from the Canadiens. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys or tell the listeners and viewers and people that are Canadiens fans that join the show to hear me talk about them. It was the safe pick. That's it. Straight up, it was the safe pick. They went that route. I would have personally liked to see them take a guy like Ryan Leonard or Michkov. Michkov was the guy that I wanted, like get some skill up front. I think they did pass on a couple very talented forwards, but they do have a lot of left-handed defensemen in their system. Caden Gooley, Lane Hudson, who's setting records, Jordan Harris, who had a nice campaign. They also got Barron and Malu. So they do have they're actually building something pretty promising on the blue line. And you have to start from the blue line out. You really do. You got to get the puck out of your net. You eventually want to get some pieces to score some goals. They don't have anybody to stop pucks at the moment or anybody in their system. We'll see what they do later in the draft if they do get a goalie or make some sort of trade for one. But I don't know, Abby, you mentioned the Hurricanes. You mentioned Pesci. Like, what's Carolina known for? Like, they've built a good blue.
Yeah, and it's the depth too, right? Like, and now we're probably going to transition into this conversation shortly, but like you're looking at a team like the Panthers and like what do they need, right? Like Aaron Ekblad like might not be able to play at the beginning of the season. Like you need that depth, especially as you go into the postseason. And if you don't have like a Vezina Trophy guy in net, like you need to have a solid decor, and that includes the depth there as well. So, I mean, you're talking everything from special teams to just protecting your goalie and really just keeping, wearing teams down. Like if you have a good defensive core, like you're going to really frustrate teams. And that's the key when we're looking at a long postseason, like is wearing teams down, like who can survive in the end.
Right. And EY, we glamored all about Vegas's defensive core throughout the entire playoffs. I mean, they're all big body, over 6 foot, and some experience on the squad with Pietrangelo, Martinez, and guys like that. But you got to have a really solid blue line, and the Habs are kind of on their way with, I think, some promising prospects. But that was a pick that was pretty surprising, and then followed it up, Arizona, Dmitry Shimashev, who a lot of people had going a little bit later on. I think it's easy to say that, and this is the biggest thing, EY, is people always say this, well, why don't you just trade back? Well, if you wanted like Reinbacher or Shimashev and other, scouts had them at 11 or 12, then why didn't you just trade back a couple spots? It's just so easy to say that. Like maybe there was nobody calling. Maybe nobody was willing to trade up, or you couldn't. Maybe the Canadiens really liked Reinbacher, or Arizona. You see, they picked that 12 as well with Butt, who my comparison is kind of like a Tage Thompson, 6'5", nice hands, great shot. I think he's got some sneaky offense to his game as well. But maybe he would have been there at 12, but maybe he wouldn't have been. And then you missed out on a guy that you really had high on your draft board. So it's what we talk about when we mention draft props. Just nobody knows. Like, again, nobody really knows.
We can be armchair GMs all we want, but
exactly.
This is why we're the armchair GMs.
I think if you've done a fantasy draft, and I'm assuming that all three of us have, football or hockey, it's the fear of like wanting that player and him not being available later and someone else also liking them. So like if they really like Reinbacher and they thought like, oh, he could be picked here. But the reality is they're never going to get him later on. It's forced, right? Like, and team need, like I think you have to look at who played for them last year, who are the 6 that played for them last year, how many defensemen do they have in the system who will be ready in the next 2 or 3 years? Like a lot of these guys, like everyone gets so excited. the reality is the average is you're not going to see any of these players for the next 3 years. They're not going to exist on your NHL team. Like the Preds' first pick is a freshman. He's 17 years old. He's not going to play. It doesn't matter how good he is or how big he is or who they compare him to. He's not available to them in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't think they want him to be. I think they, obviously are in a rebuild here. But yeah, that's the big thing. I think it's like you said, Chris, they wanted Reinbacher. They need a defenseman. They need a right shot defenseman. And I think Promin wrote about it in The Athletic. He said he becomes, right now, he's one of their 2 or 3 best defensemen. He's a child already.
Yeah.
But he's already one of their best defensemen.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked pretty tiny. I mean, he's a big boy, but he looked pretty tiny. I know a lot of my buddies texted me this morning, Abby, and they said, don't tell me it's the safe pick and you need a right shot defenseman. Like, get that flashy forward who can be a game changer. But I like building from the blue line. And I think Linebacker and Goulet are going to be a nice pair in the future for the Canadians. Anything else, like, when you look at this, Abby, is there anything that jumps out here? Were there any real surprises? There's a couple things for me that I feel really old when I see like Oliver Bonk, who is Radek Bonk's son, get drafted 22nd overall, and then Yannick Perreault's son, Gabriel Perreault, gets taken the next pick. That kind of dates me back a little bit, but is there anything here before we move on and talk about like some of the trades that we've seen over the past little bit?
It seemed like people were really high on like the San Jose and the Colorado picks, Musty and Richie. I feel like a lot of people were talking about that one afterwards. I know I've seen Richie's name like over the last couple of years as like a high prospect. But I think San Jose fans were pretty excited about Musty too.
I think the Sharks were one of the winners, in my opinion. Last year having to move on from Timo Meier, and reports suggest that they're going to move on from Erik Karlsson, probably going to have to eat a little bit of that contract. But getting a William Smith, who we already touched on earlier, and then I love the call, Abby. Yeah, getting a Quentin Musty here, and I know a lot of Leaf fans were hoping he would fall. A pretty big difference between Musty and Cowan there of the London Knights. It goes to the Leafs there at pick 28, who the Athletic had, I believe, like in the 90s in terms of their rankings. Yeah. But again, who really knows? May have been a little bit of a reach.
Develop either. That's the key too. Like, how is the organization once they get there? Like, it's all about it's credit to the organization too. Like, look at what they're able to do in the AHL with their players and just track records with that. Like, any of those picks later on, it's all about the development.
And EY Treliving said yesterday that it's, he talked about how he's a long ways away, but again, this isn't the NBA draft. This isn't the NFL draft. These are kids. You just talked to the Applebee's thing. Like there's only a handful of players we're going to see like early on in the NHL. I would say, obviously Bedard. I don't think we'll see Karlsson. I think Fantilli, and that's kind of it. Like, there's a lot of these kids that are over in Russia and KHL. Like Arizona's got a couple kids here that they got to bring over and try to sign a contract to. There's some, university kids that may go back to their school and their college and play for a couple more years. Like Leonard may a couple more years. We may not see him for 3 seasons in Washington. So these are all just young bucks. But Connor Bedard is what's the over?
We haven't even talked about him.
Something I know, and we really
everyone's been talking about him. So like, what else to say?
He's inevitable. I mean, what are we going to say that people haven't already said?
Really.
I mean,
can we give like some over-unders? Like, what's a fair projection for him in Chicago from a goal standpoint? EY, over under 25 goals for Connor Bedard this season.
I said this on Twitter the other day. Unders are for wimps, and
I like
he's a generational player.
So
I mean, generational. He can't skate like McDavid, but I think the reality is I think he can shoot the puck better. He's an unbelievable passer. Megan Shaika had a really cool stat saying, like, everyone's talking about his shot and how many goals he scored. He had more assists. He's a generational player. He's going to change Chicago's franchise for the better. I was interested that they picked more with their next pick. Like, now they have these 2 5'9", 5'8", or whatever, 5'10" centers. It's how many years do we say, like, you got to be big and got to be strong down the middle? I mean, both of them are short, but are pretty good put together. Like 195 pounds at 5'11" in the NHL he's a pretty thick guy, Oliver Moore. But it's an interesting move, I think, by Chicago to pick another small center. I think it's strange, but we'll see.
I think for Bedard too, it's like the confidence level once he gets there, right? Like, I mean, we're watching him like undress 2-3 guys at a time to score a goal at the level he was playing at. So like, does he have that same confidence? Does it translate at the NHL level with the way that he carries himself and the way that he talks and like all the attention that he's gotten just over the last few years? I see it. I mean, a guy like that, like just so like knows how good he is. I mean, I'm going over.
Yeah, you know what? I think you said it perfectly too. Like the skill is certainly on display, and some of these kids can kind of get a little bit, I don't want to say cocky, but in their head. But even all throughout the draft process, he never talked about being first overall, and I heard Chicago say that too. Like, what? Tell me a couple things about Connor Bedard that we don't know. It's like he never ever talked about him being a for sure number one pick when everybody knew he was going to be the first overall pick. He's super humble. He's going to go down the same path as guys like Crosby and McDavid in terms of work ethic, and he already said right away, can't wait to get to work. I've been training nonstop for this moment.
Hasn't eaten McDonald's in his entire life. I feel bad for him.
Wish I could say the same thing. This guy's missing out on like
post-game pizza,
chicken nuggets.
But you know what? When that's like ingrained in you, God, I haven't had a Big Mac in a while. When's the last time you had a Big Mac?
Actually, been years. I'm not a Big Mac person.
Been a while.
Yeah,
I like a quarter pounder with cheese. Not bad.
I eat McDonald's like once a year. I have throat surgeries, and that's my reward. I eat because they're easy to eat. That's a true story.
That's your reward. George has all kinds of McDonald's coupons. He loves McDonald's. He can't get enough of that. There's the bats that we've been waiting for. 3 seasons with the Regina Pats in the WHL. Bedard, 134 goals, 137 points in 134 games.
Yeah,
134 goals and 134 games. He had 2.02 points per game, and he set all kinds of records in the World Juniors as an underager. So yeah, he's going to be a star. And Brzezis 91, yeah, you love it. Jersey's on order, I'm sure. Go get yourself. Here's the line that Adam gave us. That I think that would be a good season. 30 goals, 35 points, or 35 assists, 65 points. I think that's fair. I think he can flirt with 30 goals and 70 points. And I think Taylor Hall, Abby, being added to the squad recently as a former first overall pick, you got to be with some players that are talented and that have been around it. He has so much experience being a first overall pick, being around a lot of different teams. So he can bring a lot to Connor Bedard's game in year number 1.
Well, and again, like the intangibles, right? Like Taylor Hall's advice of like the pressures and the change going into the
He went through the same thing being first overall, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, these are kids. So it's good to have those types of guys, you know, surrounding you.
Troy, I love it. Troy, there's nothing negative I could say about you. Even if I don't agree, there's nothing I could say. But yeah, Marchenko, he's pretty good. He's pretty good in his own right. All right, there's been some trades. There are a couple. I don't think I actually.
Go Devils, go.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Abby, last time when we chatted, when UI wasn't here, what did we talk about? We talked about the Devils and the rise. We brought this up. They were 13-1. We said, who's that team that's going to make that, you know, that next step, that leap forward? And now, as of today, I think the shortest odds or the longest odds that you can get for the Devils to win the Cup is 10-1. So there's been some movement since they acquired.
I should just go ahead and put my money on them right now, honestly.
I think this is.
Should I do it?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get do it. EY, should you do it?
Bet tracker?
A little bit of a circle?
It would be
I did it before the Toffoli trade.
Oh, what was it at? Wait, did it move since then?
35?
Yes, I think
it did.
No chance. 13, I think.
No.
You probably got it maybe
like 15
weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has moved from 13 to 10. Abby, ftmbets.com. You're in the tracker. You should bet that should be your first bet. It's probably the best odds we'll see. I think EY, I don't think the Devils are done. Like they got a bunch of cap space. Either. Now they got all these guys locked up like Hughes and Timo and Brad.
Well, and now there's some rumors about Hellbuck going there.
Hellbuck. Yeah, I was just going to say that. Oh, man.
That would be, but how much money? That's the key. That's what I'm watching over the next couple of days is what happens with him, especially because the return. Ooh, dare we start talking about your guy? Means, especially since the return that they got on that trade.
Oh, what's Newhook?
LD.
Oh, Pierre-Luc Dubois. Pierre-Luc Dubois, my guy. George's guy. PLD. Did you see the meme? Oh, we meant to put that one too. That one was great. George, if you find that, we got to show it for the people. That's pretty good because we talk a lot about Pierre-Luc Dubois on this show in terms of shot props and things like that. But yeah, I think the only thing the Devils are missing here now is I guess maybe they're not missing. Maybe Schmid is good enough. EY. Maybe he is the anchor in New Jersey. I mean, he did have a pretty good season. Both him and Vanacek struggled against the Hurricanes in the second round. We always talk about learning how to lose before you learn how to win. And I think the Devils went through a little bit of that last year, coming back down, in the series against the Rangers, winning a game 7, and then playing a team in Carolina that's had a lot of success in the playoffs. Like, not a ton of great success, but they've been there a ton of times. What do you think, Abby? Should they go all in on Hellebuck? I think they're going to make another move, another splash.
I think they will too. I mean, again, it's going to be like, how much are they willing to give up or spend on that? But again, like Winnipeg got a lot for Pierre-Luc Dubois. So like, are they willing to kind of take a gamble here with Hellebuck? So I don't know. It's hard. It really is. Like, his goaltending is such a huge factor. We can talk about this over and over again. Does that make or break their chances? Maybe. Do they look back? Do they not get Connor and then they look back and they're like, oh, we wish if we had gotten him. Like, did goaltending ruin their chances? I don't know. It's such a big. It's a hard toss up. But I can totally agree with you on the fact of like the losing to winning aspect of the game. Like, that's exactly what happened in Carolina, right? Like, you had all these young guys that were close and they were close. And then like now they have the experience in the playoffs. They know what it feels like to lose. And like something about these young guys, like they just have that extra like confidence, chip on their shoulder, like drive when you get close and you can prove like, hey, look what we were able to do last season. Like, now we're really coming for it. So I think they definitely are going to play with an extra spark for sure this year. I don't know what do they need? What are they going to do?
They got a bunch of cap space, and they got like their core kind of locked up now, right? I mean, Hughes, good contract. Timo, 8.8, 8 years. Bratt under contract. They got Mercer. They got Nico Hischier under contract. Mercer's not under contract, but Nico Hischier is. They got a lot of nice pieces. If they did get Connor Hellebuck, EY, where would you rank them among some of the teams here in the Eastern Conference? Would that be the final like kind of added piece to put them over the top?
Yeah, I mean, it would be high, very, very high. I was listening to Dimitri, and it was Kevin Woodall. He's like the goalie guy, and he was saying how their style of defensive play matches up really good with Hellebuck. He said a bunch of really smart things that I can't remember, but it was really interesting. And Hellebuck has kind of said that he doesn't want to play in Winnipeg anymore. I mean, if you've ever been there in the winter, I don't know why anyone would want to play there. It's brutal.
It's the one time I missed the bus. The one time I missed the bus was in that city in December. And my body was burning walking back from the rink. And it was only like a 5-minute walk to the hotel. So here's my question for you guys. Where, if it's not the Devils, then where does Hellebuck go?
I mean, I don't know if there's honestly a huge market for a goalie that's over 30 now. Like, I feel like you have to be win now. If you want Connor Hellebuck, you have to win. Just look at some of these teams. He's your favorite team. I think, honestly, Samuel, I think
should I just do it now? I did book a one-way flight to New York City last week. That will be my new home for a little bit. And so I need a team, I can go to some New Jersey games. Let's go.
I think you should adopt this team for one. Last week, I don't know if you saw it. Abby joined the show, filled in for you, and we talked about the top 5 destinations, and New Jersey was on. And she roasting her, like, what do you mean Jersey? Nobody wants to live in Jersey. But for her, it was like, this is an up and coming squad. Like, they're competitive. They got a lot of young superstars. Luke Hughes is going to be there. Nemec, like, they have all these young bucks coming up the system as well. And then they make the Tyler Toffoli trade, who's got a cup, and he's a proven goal scorer in the league. And everywhere he's gone, he's just won. And that's a really nice. He's going to look a little slow in that top 6, but he's going to score a ton of goals. And
he's never looked fast, right? It's never been a thing.
Yeah, but you said it.
Sniper.
You said it, Chris. Like they need a guy that has like been there, done that in the locker
Veteran
room.
experience.
You called that one. I'll give you that.
It's a good.
Yeah,
it's a good
I
mix.
should just hop on. I mean, I can go to some games. I can get my
join you.
10 top with Eric's discount code.
Yep.
Yeah. What would the jersey player you get on the back? Who's going to be your, is it Hughes? Who's going to be your guy?
I don't know. I got to think about that one.
You have to wait on that one. Yeah, jerseys on the rise. We like the Devils here. Adam says, sorry, Abby, but I still think you're nuts for having the Devils in your top 5 destinations. Sabres are a team that's on the rise. Maybe, yeah, okay. That's probably why Adam brought up the Sabres, as they need a goalie, right? Yeah. But do they go all? Are they ready now? Man, I don't feel like a team should be like Buffalo is. They're doing this. They're on the rise. But I feel like trading some pieces, and I don't know what it would take to get Hellebuyck, but trading prospects in their system, I don't know. I think that would be a mistake for a goalie over 30. I don't feel like they're ready right now, but could see it.
Yeah,
that's
they're not there, right? Help. Like you said, Hellebuyck's over 30. Buffalo is going to be improved, but they're not there yet. Devin Levi showed that. I mean, he's pretty legit, right? Like, and do you want him playing a bunch? His second season, or do you want him to be the guy and just take the lumps as they come? The guy on Dimitri's, is it Kyle Wood? Man, I'm so bad at remembering names. Not like Carey Price level bad, but bad. He's like the goalie guy, and he was saying defensively, like Buffalo's one of the worst teams in every metric possible, and Connor Hellebuyck isn't going to make a difference. And he said his analysis was straight lines. Connor Hellebuyck is the best goalie in the NHL, technically wise. When pucks are going east-west, he's a little below league average, and that's the kind of things he's going to see in Buffalo because defensively they're brutal.
These are the teams that I think need goalies, so just rapid fire through them. The Sabres, the Senators, the Red Wings. I don't think that they'll be aggressive getting Hellebuyck. Yzerman's just too smart. The Canadians, no chance. Penguins. Penguins are a team that maybe if they can find a way for some salary. I know that Winnipeg wants to still be competitive. They want to retool. I think that's why the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade to Montreal didn't work. The Habs didn't have any like good roster players now to trade them and be competitive. But Pittsburgh, Flyers, they're not going to do it. The Blue Jackets. What are your Preds going to do? Like, is UC Saros potential? Could he be gone? Because they got Askarov, who they drafted in the first round.
They said absolutely not.
I think Trotz came out and said something.
He said no chance of trading Saros because goalies like him don't grow on trees. Yeah. Askarov he's considered the best goalie in the world, not playing in the NHL currently. But I mean, who knows? I mean, again, he's a child and he's a goalie, so it's voodoo, and nobody knows. And people that say they know are liars. And it's Askarov. There was a bunch of rumors of pairing Askarov with some picks, and they were trying to move up into the top 5. And Trotz was quoted this morning saying he was doing everything in his power trying to move up to top 5. He did everything, and just nobody would budge. But the rumor was it was Askarov was the guy that was being dangled because Saros is going nowhere, is what he said.
I'd say the Canadians checked in on Askarov potentially. Here's some things that you may have missed. We did touch on Timo Meier, 8 by 8.8 there for the Devils. Reilly Smith, a salary dump, getting rid of Reilly Smith to Pittsburgh. I think that's a pretty good get for the Penguins.
Unreal get.
A good one.
For a third,
and then
crazy.
Which is, I don't really value thirds too much. So you get Reilly Smith, adding him in. I think he's an upgrade over like Zucker, who I do believe is a unrestricted free agent. So you bring him in, and then Vegas turns around and signs Barbashev. I think you called this on EY that his playoff performance, he's going to earn maybe more than some people would have expected him to earn. I think if he doesn't have that great playoff, he's probably like a $3.5 million player, but 5 times 5 here with the Golden Knights. And he was fantastic. He really was. I don't want to take anything away from him. Dananov signs. That's a guy, changed his name. Been in the league for a few years. Oh, by the way, it's not Dadonov, it's Dananov. Thank you. Yeah. 2 years, $2.25 million. Abby, your guy, Max Domi is going to test free agency. It looks like he turned down the Stars.
Wait, when did that news come out? I missed that.
I think it was like yesterday afternoon when
Okay.
the Stars announced this. There was a beat reporter from Dallas said that
Gotcha.
Max Domi and I forget the other name in Dallas going to test free agency, and then Igor Sharangovich, who we do like on the show. EY talked about. We both talked about him quite a bit. He goes to the Flames for a third-round pick in the Tyler Toffoli. A little bit of an underwhelming return, but he's going to have an opportunity to play there in Calgary. Signs a 2-year, $3.1 million contract, and who knows what's going to happen with Lindholm or Hannafin or Backlund, but I think Craig Conroy's got his hands full. Barbashev, EY, like the contract?
Yeah, I mean, I really like it for Vegas. I thought it would be higher than that, but I think part of the give and take was the 5 years, right? Like as a player that's never been paid and been in the league for a while. I mean, he played on the fourth line in St. Louis. So like, I think the feeling as a pro athlete, he's probably thinking like, I just need to get the longest deal possible. I think it's a mistake by him and his agent. I mean, nobody will know, but I think maybe a 2-year, like kind of a bridge deal, then the salary cap goes up, then he can sign a bigger deal if he continues to play how he has. I guess the worry is, I mean, he could get seriously hurt in training camp and then he's screwed. So it's that's always something you got to think of, I guess, too. But 5 years at 5 for, I mean, he could have won the Conn Smythe Trophy, right? I mean, he could have. He's an unbelievable player, and that's a great deal for Vegas. It seems like it's a broken record with Vegas. I think Reilly Smith for a third they got fleeced. And I mean, you ask a bunch of the players and you read a bunch of stuff about him. Every player on the team says Reilly Smith is the best player.
Reilly Smith is fantastic. He's a good get. He can kill penalties and be on the power play. He's a veteran player. He's a good get by Pittsburgh. I like it. They're in win mode now. Good job, Kyle Dubas. Good job. I mean, maybe we talked too much about the Devils. I thought last year that they were slightly overrated, and here we, Chris. Devils, you gotta stop talking about the Devils. Devils are overrated. They're Hollywood East. I think they will just step back next season. I think they will definitely finish below Carolina, New York, and Pittsburgh. Islanders, and even Columbus might give the Devils a hard time there as well. Adam says, stop it. Devils are far from overrated. Young team that got important playoff experience, now added pieces, contender to win that division. Yeah, I think, I do agree with some of these other teams that will compete. Carolina, the Rangers, I don't know about the Islanders. Blue Jackets will definitely be better. I'm not there on the Penguins. Who's their goalie? They got issues on the blue line, but that's a good get there. We do want to tee up the Pierre-Luc Dubois. Go ahead, George. You want to play? I thought you were going to do the meme. I thought you were going to do the meme where EY was Pierre-Luc Dubois and Dangle was your parlay. But go ahead. This is a trend of
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
I don't know if anybody gets that but me. But I saw that one day on TikTok, and it was a video of William Nylander just skating around, just having a time on a Sunday stroll, not going in the corner. And then this video popped up. Me? No, what about nothing? And that's what George feels every time he bets on Pierre-Luc Dubois' shot prop over 2.5. And he's like, how does Pierre-Luc Dubois have 0 shots and he played 23 minutes? What's happening? He's just out there hanging around. So that'll be the new thing when George makes a bet. And we'll have to toss that up every time. This has been a fun show.
It's been good.
Official president.
I'm in.
Devils
I'm gonna get a tank. I'm gonna get a tank top. I'm gonna go to a game. I'm not forget Madison Square Garden. I'm going to Prudential Center.
Have you? There it is.
Oh
man, how EY? You look scary there, man. There's another angle of the video I saw from my buddy Drew, the producer there of most of the podcasts over there, and it was a great angle. It's like a side view angle, and then after you slapped them, you turned around and you were amped, like you were ready to go and destroy anybody that was in your way. I thought it was really good. EY, quickly on the way out, have you been to a Devils game? Have you been to Jersey?
I have, yeah. I've been twice to the Prudential Center. It's actually a terrifying walk to the arena, but it's a really cool place to see a game.
We did not stay anywhere near the Prudential Center when we
New Jersey can be terrifying. The most terrifying Airbnb I've ever stayed in was when I was working for the WWE, and I stayed in New Jersey. I was like, no, there's no way that minivan we rented is there in the morning. Everything was fine, but the door didn't lock. It was terrifying.
On that note, I think we got to get out of here. Chris, we appreciate the comments. Honestly, I love it. We do have to get out on Game Plus Network. We have a time that we have to get out, and we're already over past that. But we do appreciate you hanging out and engaging in the conversation. This show is always about you guys, the viewers, the listeners. We've said that from day one. We're gonna have one more episode of Dangle Batselli before we take the summer off. Maybe we'll have a couple special episodes. We'll have Abby on Mean Streets and Eric Young on Mean Streets as well. But we're gonna take Tuesday off with Independence Day, July 4th, and Canada Day, and we'll be back on Thursday with NHL Free Agency, July 1st. We will have a lot to break down. And Abby, you're more than welcome to join us next Thursday as well. We do appreciate you, and we're very excited to work with you, even if you are just Team Devils. It's all right. Devils! All right, we're out of here. Thanks, George, for all your hard work. At the Eric Young. Abby, follow her on Twitter, and
Thanks, guys.
we'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Chris from Greenwood, and this is My Nova Scotia. Enjoy amazing live music around Halifax at the TD Halifax Jazz Festival, July 8th to the 16th. From July 17th to the 24th, it's the Halifax Pride Festival. And if you're like me, you can never get enough golf. It's the best way to see some of Nova Scotia's most beautiful scenery. Visit novascotia.com to plan your vacation. Our greens are awesome. So when are you coming?